Hello, friends of the Buffalo Naval Park. Shane Stevenson here, and we are getting so close. I could taste it. We are getting so close to 10,000 subscribers, and thank you if you are one of them. Hopefully you're enjoying all of the content. There's probably about 430 videos that you can review, and thanks for all of your support, and thank you to the members as well. So, for today's video, we are going to be talking about the paddlewheel carriers of World War II, the Blue Water Navy here in the Great Lakes. This has been something that a lot of subscribers and viewers have been asking for, so this is just a little taste of it. Alright, I'd like to do a deeper dive, especially because Buffalo is integral to these two carriers. So then it would just having to be doing more research, heading to other maritime museums around the Great Lakes and working with them. So I've got the what? Whiteboard. All right, let's go. The paddlewheel carriers of World War II. And here they are. You have the Wolverine on the left and the Sable on the right. This is in Chicago at the Navy Pier where they were docked. All right, and let's call that their home port. If you can see from this image, USS Sable is just a little bit larger. All right, but let's talk about the first lives of each of these vessels when they were passenger liners here on the Great Lakes. Well, USS Sable on the right was constructed from this monstrosity, the Greater Buffalo. Now this was known as the Majestic of the Great Lakes because of her sheer size and her carrying ability. Here she is being converted right here in Buffalo. All right, you can see the island's already been on, and they are working on the flight deck. So a little bit about this, the Greater Buffalo, which turned into the Sable. After the Navy took her over, she was classified as unclassified miscellaneous hull number 81. She began her life as a passenger liner here in the Great Lakes in 1925, and her route was the Buffalo, Cleveland, Detroit, and Mackinac. She also had a sister ship named the Greater Detroit, which was known as the Leviathan of the Great Lakes. So we have the Majestic of the Great Lakes and the Leviathan of the Great Lakes. She was 520 feet in length. She had 9 boilers and triple expansion steam engines. And look at that. She could carry 2,100 passengers, 275 officers and crew, and in addition, roughly 100 cars. She was able to travel about 21 knots. She was 7,000 tons weight. And the Sable came with a steel deck. All right, she had a small commissioning ceremony here in Buffalo on 8 May 1943, and then she was scrapped in 1948. Now let's focus on the Wolverine. She was born from the C&B, otherwise known as the Cleveland and Buffalo. She was the only 4-stacker on the Great Lakes. And here she is with her superstructures removed. All right, and you can see some of the shear line here is being removed. And again, for both of these vessels, they were converted here in Buffalo at the American Shipbuilding Company dry dock, which prior to that was the Buffalo dry dock. And wouldn't it be nice if we had that dry dock here today for our vessels, as it was only about a half a mile away on Ganson Street. So for the Wolverine, again the C&B, that's what the Cleveland and Buffalo, and that's how they just spelled it. You can see it listed right there. When taken over by the Navy, she was classified as unclassified miscellaneous hull number 64. Now her life as the C&B began earlier than the Greater Buffalo in 1913, and her routes were Buffalo, Cleveland, Put-in-Bay, Cedar Point, and Detroit. She was a little bit smaller than the Sable at 500 feet in length. Same propulsion with the 9 boilers and triple expansion steam engines. They had 510 staterooms and were able to carry about 1,500 passengers. Her top speed was 22 knots. She was 6,400 tons weight. And unlike the Sable, she was made with Douglas fir wood decking. She came into service for the Navy much earlier. You can see, again, a small commissioning ceremony on the 12th of August, 1942, so about 7.5 months or so, 8 months before the Sable. And like her sister, she was scrapped in 1948. So for the Navy, they acquired both of these in 1942 on orders of Fleet Admiral King, or who became Fleet Admiral King. Right, neither of them had hangar decks or elevators. So all of the planes that they used for training and qualifying naval aviators had to be kept on the main deck. So of course throughout training you have planes that crash, you have planes that need repair, and one of the downsides was that they just had to be stored here, which meant that they came back to home port quite frequently to have those planes removed and to have new planes added. All told, about 17,000 pilots qualified on these two paddle-wheel aircraft carriers. Probably the most famous was George H.W. Bush. So another drawback was because wind on the deck speeds are not like they would be in the Pacific, like on Lake Michigan. They were only able to train on really one type of aircraft. So while they're getting qualified for landing, hitting those arresting cables, obviously important stuff, being able to take off and land from an aircraft carrier, they weren't training in the planes that they probably flew in when they got to the theater. So that meant Hellcats, Corsairs, Avengers, and Dauntlesses were out of the question. Right? Wind on the deck speed wasn't high enough for those types of planes. So most of the 17,000 trained on North American Aviation's T-6 Texans. And then when they got to the theater, they got into those other aircraft. So there's a great need for passenger liners here in the 20s, certainly from the 1870s, to transport people from city to city around the growing Great Lake region at that time. And then 1942 comes, Admiral King as CNO says this idea can work, so they acquire the C&B and the Greater Buffalo in 1942. They bring them back to Buffalo, convert them into flat tops, and then are sent to Chicago where the training actually happens. Both of these vessels received the American Campaign Medal and the World War II Victory Medal as well. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look. Again, thank you. We're so close to 10,000 subscribers. please tell your friends. If you like this video, give us the thumbs up. If you really like it, then subscribe. And thanks. I love reading all of your comments and commenting on them as well and replying back. All right, we're not to the point yet where I can't answer every single one, so I usually end up answering every single one if I can. And thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you again. You know what? We'll see you again soon.